Hey everybody, I am back with another gouache video for you today. So my 20 for 20 challenge has ended and I have very joyfully spent the past few days playing with my usual watercolors and also having a lot of fun with watercolor pencils. But gouache is still on my mind. So in today's video, I thought I would compare the two mixing sets of gouache that I have. The first set that I have are the Holbein, mixing set, which I purchased slightly over a year ago now. And you can see I haven't used them very much. They're quite full. But I bought these last winter because I wanted to give gouache a try. And I did try it, but I didn't stick with it at the time. And I bought the primary mixing set basically because I figured it would give me 5 colors from which I could mix pretty much whatever I needed and give this medium a try. And that is what I started with, and I very quickly discovered that I personally couldn't mix everything I really wanted, and I started buying a whole bunch of other colors. I've now been just collecting them, collecting a box of them here and adding colors. And throughout my challenge this January, one thing that I struggled with was with my whites. So the Holbein permanent white I find to be actually pretty good. Of the two whites I had for the challenge, this was definitely my favorite. It's very opaque, it's very creamy. The other white that I was using throughout January was this Winsor & Newton Designer Gouache Zinc White, which I bought because I was under the understanding that primary white is more of a mixing white and zinc white is just a different type of mixing white, I guess. I wasn't sure if the Holbein primary white is zinc or titanium, but I know that zinc white is recommended for mixing. It's a little bit more opaque and it's not as great a white all by itself, but is supposed to be good for mixing. So I bought this. I had a really hard time with it. I found it to be really clumpy and sticky and very hard to get it to flow without adding too much water, and generally was annoyed by the zinc white. And so I wanted to try a titanium white, and I decided to order Daniel Smith titanium white. As long as I was ordering one gouache, none of my local art supply stores stock gouache, so I have to order it. So as long as I was ordering white, I decided to go ahead and buy the Daniel Smith mixing set, which comes with 3 colors, red, blue, and yellow, and titanium white. The Holbein set was 5 colors. It had black and white, as well as the 3 primaries. So now that I've had a lot more practice with gouache and I'm thinking about what I would like to really have on my gouache palette and what colors I need, I decided to have a little play with these colors and see what sense I could make of how these two different mixing sets stack up. So let's take a look. So here you can see that I have set up a color wheel. In the middle ring, I have put the pigment without adding any other colors, and I've tried to keep it very thick. The outer ring, I have added white, and I'm blending the colors in between to make a color wheel. I also, in the inner ring, in those smaller pie pieces, I am mixing the colors with black to see what different shades I can accomplish. And here you can see what I came up with for the Holbein set. The Holbein set is very interesting because it is a CMYK version of the primaries. And what that means is instead of what we might expect of red, yellow, and blue, what we have for the red is a magenta, that's the M. For the blue, we have cyan, which is this very, very bright color. And then, of course, we have yellow, and the K is black. And I find this to be a very interesting choice. It makes a lot of sense for a product that is designed for people who are illustrators who are going to make work that will ultimately be reproduced, because printers tend to use CMYK ink instead of, red, blue, and yellow. They use magenta, cyan, and yellow. The overall effect here, as you can see, is that these colors are extremely bright. They are so vibrant. They are not very opaque. You can see my black ink coming through, but they're certainly very vivid, and they're also extremely cool. I'm not getting a lot of warmth out of the Holbein set. For the Daniel Smith colors, I repeated the exact same process. You can see my wheel looks very similar. The only difference is that the Daniel Smith set did not come with black, and instead of using the Holbein black, what I did is, after completing the other colors, I tried to mix the darkest darks I could to see how close could I get to mixing a black, and I put that in the middle. Right away, you can tell there are huge differences between these two sets of primaries. So this is very interesting. The Daniel Smith set, as you see here, is a much more traditional colors. And what I mean by that is it is a true red, it's pure all red, ultramarine blue, and then we have Hansa yellow medium. And these colors are much warmer than the Holbein colors, and I was really impressed with how incredible those darks are, that I was able to mix really interesting darks by combining them. What I also found interesting comparing the two, the Daniel Smith tubes are brand new. I literally just opened them this week, but they were so much creamier and smoother than the Holbein. And that could really just be the age of the two different paints. I couldn't say. The other tubes have been open for a year. But the Daniel Smith paints flowed so beautifully, and they had more sort of natural opacity. And personally, I think I'm a little bit more drawn to the warm colors. But actually, if I'm thinking about putting together a limited palette of gouache, these two mixing sets right away could give me my two sets of primaries, my warm primaries and cool primaries. And through that, I would have the ability to mix a huge range of colors. I don't know if you can really tell in the video, the yellows might look pretty similar, and actually in real life, under normal lighting conditions, those are actually remarkably different, as magenta and red are very different and the two blues are very different. So in comparing them, I think what I've found, I personally probably couldn't get away with having only either of these mixing sets, because I would find it too limiting. But by pairing them together, I think I could have a really versatile travel palette. And in fact, I am going to go ahead and set up a dried gouache palette like Sarah Burns has suggested over on her YouTube channel, which if you haven't checked it out, you should. And I'm going to see what kind of art I can create. So stay tuned for more. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. I'm really new to YouTube. Your support means so much to me, and thanks so much for watching.